Welcome and thank you to the MSAD 60 Budget Workshop. We'd like to start our meeting this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could all please stand. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At the request of members of our audience, we're also going to identify ourselves before we actually get into the meeting. So if we can start with you, Nancy.
Nancy Sewell.
Josh Tabor.
Jerry Basco.
Kate Whalen.
Audra Beauvais.
Sue Austin.
Lauren Janicek.
Melissa Sear.
Marissa Tasker.
And joining us via Google Meets, we have
Leanne Cammett.
Here we go.
Kevin Moore.
Jeremiah.
Oh, we're not hearing you, Jeremiah. I think you're on mute, Jeremiah.
We see you. Thank you.
Eventually I'll have to talk. So let's see.
We'll now read the public input statement.
One moment.
Okay, sorry.
So the public input session is a 10-minute session, and each person having no more than 2 minutes in which to make a statement, but a second public input session may be held at the end of the meeting. Okay. If allowed by the board chair, each speaker will give his/her name, address, and reason for speaking. Public input is designated for district residents, but the board chair may grant non-residents the opportunity to address the board. Statements concerning subject matter that falls under the law regarding executive sessions, for example, matters involving personnel, cannot be made during public input. We, as a community, pledge to treat each other as we wish to be treated. We pledge to seek understanding when there may be disagreement. Regardless of outcomes or opinions, we pledge to move forward with respect. This is not a time for comments and/or questions from the board, but please be aware this is a time for comments and/or questions for the board, but please be aware that questions may not be answered this evening.
Thank you. Now we would invite attendees to please come up and share your thoughts with us. Matthew?
May I? I'm going to read off a bunch of numbers. It's literally what I'm going to read. Could I give this to you? Would it be all right to hand that to you?
Absolutely. And then
Enough for everyone. Okay.
Shawire, Matt. Shawire.
Thank you. I totally would have knocked into that. It's just easier because I'm reading numbers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
will also be good to include in our notes. Thank you.
Did we have one, Mr. Leggett? You have it?
Yes, I believe, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
I need to read one of them.
Yeah, that's right. You're good.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So we reach a challenge where we need to address the budget. Like I proposed, I said we shouldn't increase the budget whatsoever. So I made an outline of how we could actually achieve that. System administration and stipends. We should be cutting our administration by 25%. This falls in line with the state of Maine, where most of the state spends $435 per student. We spend $543 per student. We could save $383,000 in just this line. Stipends. These are slush funds. Everyone knows it. Stipends should not be just given out indiscriminately with nothing attached to them. We have $619,000 in stipends in this district. Cut it. That saves us $1 million right there. Support staff realignment. We need to reduce our support staff by 25%. The line item just for support staff is $5.28 million. Our regular instruction is only $14 million. That's insane that we're spending that much on support staff. 25% is just the start, but that would save us $1.3 million. It's eliminating redundant roles in the district. Instructional coaching and special positions, the K-5 math coaches. If we're hiring teachers that don't know how to teach math, we should re-examine our hiring practices. We spend $167,000 to teach our teachers math. That's ridiculous. Multilinguals section of the budget. We've asked about where that money's being spent, what kids are being taught. No one giving us an answer. Cut it. $108,000 to save the district. Our IT. Our website's atrocious. I mean, our IT is, I don't know who does what, but that position should be fired immediately. We could cut our IT drastically. We could reduce it by over 300,000 just by outsourcing work that's being done. Everyone is reducing their IT department because so much is outsourced. They're done by AI now. There's no reason we have this many in-house IT people. The bottom line, this plan I just gave you saves us $2.89 million. That brings our budget back to what we are now. These are simple things. You're the board. You tell your administration, this is what we do, and that's what we do. You're the boss. Oh, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good call.
Would anyone else care to make a statement at this time?
I'm Lauren Shane. I'm a teacher in the district, NIS, but do not live in the district. Is it okay to talk?
Yes, it is.
So as I mentioned, I'm a middle school physical education teacher. I've witnessed firsthand the transformative power of physical education in shaping young minds and bodies. My journey in this field has not only been about teaching sports or physical activities, it's turned into my mission to advocate for a central role of PE in our education system. This narrative seeks to underline why schools should continue to support and fund PE programs. At Noble Middle School, now not NIS, where I've had the privilege of teaching for 5 years, the value of physical education extends far beyond the Becky Good gym. My first-hand experience has shown me how PE acts as a catalyst for academic and personal development. Students who engage in regular physical activity tend to show improved concentration and memory, backed by many studies, and they are also more prepared to tackle academic challenges. The absence of adequately funded PE programs poses a threat to its trajectory in schools. Without regular physical activities, students may experience a decline in their academic performance. They lose a vital avenue for honing their focus and cognitive skills essential for success in other subjects. In schools where PE programs have faced cuts, there's a noticeable dip in overall student engagement and enthusiasm for academics. And this trend is not just a loss of physical fitness, but a blow to the physical educational experience that every child deserves. The impact of PE on students' health is profound. In my 5-year span at Noble Middle School, now NIS, I've seen how a well-structured PE program can significantly improve physical health. It's a powerful tool combating issues like social and emotional connections, socialization, problem solving, communication, and fitness levels. Through engaging in various sports and physical activities, students learn about fitness, healthy lifestyle choices, and the importance of maintaining a positive physical, social, and emotional body and mind. The benefits of PE are not limited to physical health alone. The mental health advantages are equally important. Regular physical activity has shown to reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression. In the energizing environment of a PE class, students often experience stress relief, improved mood, and a sense of accomplishment. In contrast, schools that deprioritize or cut funding for physical education deprive students of mental health benefits, potentially leading to increased instances of stress and anxiety among the students.
Excuse me. We had a 2-minute limit and you're
Okay.
going over. So if you could just wrap it up, please.
Yeah. So all I'm gonna kind of end with is as an educator in my field, I firmly believe that physical education is not merely an elective or global, but a vital part of everyday education and the benefits from improved academic performance to enhance social and emotional skills. I'm going to end right there. We also have our health teacher here that wants me to talk on her behalf. I don't have to. This has all been sent to you guys. But I just wanted that to be a note as well, that she is here and we're trying to be able to support both programs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public input at this point? All right, then. We're going to be going right into our budget workshop.
Okay. We do have new microphones, so hopefully things will project better. We have on screen.
Here, let's see what we got. I'm gonna shut this one off. Okay. Oops. Rolling microphones.
Thank you. We left off last Thursday with some lingering questions around the snow blower for the transportation department. and also some questions regarding the vans that is in the budget for the Transportation Department as well. So we've asked Leanne Cammett, our Director of Transportation, to speak on that, as well as Jeremiah Sear, who is in charge of our fleet, and also will be able to talk to both of those pieces as well. So Jeremiah, would you just start with talking a little bit about the request for the snow blower, how much you do on site, and what specifically, why you need that piece of equipment?
Yes, thank you for having me on. So we are requesting a small tractor loader snow blower. And what that would do for us with the snow blower, obviously, is to blow the snow, which we do a very large part of the shop. We have a contractor that comes in and does the main parking lots, but we're responsible for all the walkways, our island, where the buses park, our large buses park there, which is roughly 70 yards long, 15 feet wide. And it's also split down the middle because we have posts where we have electrical outlets so we can plug these buses in the wintertime so they'll start. So that has a little bit of a challenge to it because we can only have a certain width machine. We're not able to get the help from the high school because their equipment will not fit down that island that I'm speaking of. We also use this equipment to do around the building. We have 6 garage doors plus the entrance doors, and we use that snow blower to go around this building, which is, I think, roughly 7,500 square feet or so. We also do the fuel island. So we do up next to the fence, and we also do where the fuel pumps are. And then there's some stairs on the back, and we snow blow that and keep that open, so we can come and go from the stairs in an emergency situation. So this snow blower that I'm talking about is used a lot. The one that we currently have is 30 years old. It's actually a 1997, and the model is a John Deere 445. So we've been very fortunate to have this machine. It was something that was passed down from Kevin's crew. We ended up rebuilding it, not only the tractor itself, but the snow blower. And we've utilized that. Problem with this machine is it's obsolete now because it's so old, and we ran into problems this winter trying to get parts for this machine. So we end up having to go on eBay, a couple different sellers, and buy some parts to get us through. We actually had 2 storms where we did not have this snowblower, and it was a lot of shoveling. I personally shoveled the island I'm talking about that's, saying 70 yards long, 15 feet. I did it twice myself. I'm the youngest member of the snow team. It mostly consists of drivers and mostly women. There's me and another gentleman who is pushing 70 years old. So it's a lot. And we have a small window a lot of days when we can get this snow done. As you guys know, a lot of the storms we got this year were late at night, early morning type deal. So we're scrambling to try to get in there and get the snow. And I rely on the drivers to help because that's who we have for people. So that, I cannot expect them to be in at 10 o'clock at night, say the storm's over at 6 and we're in at 10 because they need to drive. And and we're all driving. So and the reason I was to upgrade, so let me back up a little bit. So to replace this John Deere machine that we have now with a current model, the cost of replacing that machine would be just under $14,000. So, but the problem with it is it's still 2-wheel drive, no cab, so you're out in the elements, no loader, so we can't scrape and clean up around the buses. Like after some of the snow and ice falls off the buses, it leaves humps and it makes it slippery. So the loader portion would be huge for us to be able to keep this area clean, scrape up and next to the island as well. The machine we currently have is 2-wheel drive, and yes, we've made it work, but it's really tough. If we get any amount of snow, it really struggles. It has a locking differential with chains. We've replaced 3 sets of chains since I've been there for the back wheels. That's how much this thing spins. So it is not adequate. It would be a great homeowner machine, but for the scale that we're talking about, it's just not adequate. So for those reasons, the Mahindra that I had put in the budget, I think was like 26,000. That machine would have a snow blower that would work for the width that we need. It would have a enclosed cab, so we wouldn't be out in the elements. A lot of times we're in there 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, it's still nasty out, wind's blowing. It's not fun because we're out there for a long time. So that would fix a lot of the problems with the Mahindra. And like I said, if we went with a 4-wheel drive John Deere, that would be just over 15,000. So that would be the replacement for what we have now. It just would have 4-wheel drive, which that would be huge. And also we salt. So we use basically basically a homeowner's salt spreader, fertilizer spreader. We bought it down at the Coyote dealer on 202, and that was bought about 2017, 2018. And that is so we can salt where the buses park. We have a contractor that comes in and does, like I said, the main portion of the parking lot, but not always where the buses park because of timing issues, because of when they're able to get there and when we are there. It's very hard to organize that because that same contractor does the whole entire district. And Kevin's crew is not set up to salt either. So we make that work. So whatever machine we use is actually, we use the machine to tow this fertilized spreader to do our salting around the buses and walkways and things like that. We buy salt by the pallet full and load this thing by hand. So, like I said, I don't think it's an unreasonable request to get a new replacement, seeing that this machine is 30 years old, and we need at least a low-end commercial grade machine. A homeowner style machine is just not going to work. It has to be hydraulically driven, not a belt drive, or so, you know. So I don't know if there's any other questions on this machine that I'm asking for, or the machine that we currently have, but I'd be definitely willing to take some questions.
Does anyone on the board at this point have any questions for Jeremiah?
Jeremiah, I'm just, this is Josh here.
Hi, John.
$26,000 tractor. I mean, you can't like go on a computer and compare prices and whatnot. But it just seems like it's bigger than we absolutely need. You're using a homeowner size snowblower right now. I understand that's what you've been using. Going from that homeowner size one to what you're proposing is a significant change. A 4-wheel drive, I'm with you there. That makes sense. That does. Getting into a 4-wheel drive absolutely makes sense. I'm wondering, can we not do a snow pusher as opposed to a snow blower? I mean, the snow blower, I'm assuming the way it is, right? If it's a loader on the front, then the snow blower's on the back. Is that correct?
Not correct. So we're using a snow blower and it's front mounted.
It's front mounted. So you have a front. So you switch out the loader from the snow blower, right? You'd have to switch that out.
We would if we had a loader. So the current machine that we have does not have a loader on it. It does not have a cab on it.
But what you're proposing, right? What you're proposing has a snow blower and a loader, right? So then you would switch it out.
That's correct. And a cab on it with a heater and a wiper blade.
Yeah. So I'm just wanting to I'd love for other options to be presented to the board,
Right.
not just a yay or nay, but hey, this is the one we really want. This other one's 4-wheel drive. It's not ideal, but could get through. I'd just like options for the board to consider instead of a yay or nay.
Absolutely. And so that pricing I gave you, and I have quotes, I could submit them. The 4-wheel drive version of what we have with just the tractor and a snow blower is $15,278.24. And that's the total price, the district's cost.
Jeremiah, if you added a cab to that, what additional cost would that be? Do you have any idea?
Could you repeat that, please?
If you added a cab to that higher end 4-wheel drive John Deere, do you have any idea what that cost would be?
I don't know exactly. It would be in the $6,000 to $7,000 range, but then you still have to add a wiper, and all them things. So, But
So we're getting up close to that 26 again.
exactly. And no loader. And that's, so when I priced out the Mahindra which is actually through Abbott's in Waterboro, because that's what I personally run. I've had 2 Mahindra tractors. They're very, very reliable units. But anyways, I tried to price it without the loader, and he said the problem is you have to have the hydraulics to run the snow blower and everything anyways. So he said it's not a non-issue with the loader, because it's just a few dollars to have that extra, basically is what he's saying, because you already have to add in the hydraulics. So he said it makes no sense to not get the loader, and for us it would be huge. But again, the 4-wheel drive version of what we have now absolutely would work, but we would be out in the elements and doing what we've been doing for the last, at least the building's been at 20 years that I know of, 21 years. So, and I get money stuff is not cheap, and that's the world we live in. And we're definitely willing to compromise and work together. I wish we didn't have to ask for a machine, but the problem we're up against now is with what we have, it's run its course. And if it goes down and something major, we're stuck, we're stuck. We don't have anything, and we just cannot go without something. So, and like I said, it's not about me. It's about the safety of the drivers and the people that work there. And back in 2017, we actually have a lady that did get hurt at the district, and she is actually disabled for life. And, and it was because of snow not being cleared and not having the adequate equipment. And like that next day, literally that day or the next day, they went, and that's when they bought that fertilizer spreader, because they didn't have the money, and then all of a sudden they had the money for it. So, I get money is tight and things like that, but you also can't put a price on safety sometimes.
So Jeremiah, did you consider all options? I mean, there's UTVs that have blades on them that would fit the space that you're talking about. Did you consider other brands? Did you go through the whole process and consider all options on this? We just don't know as a board, right? We don't know.
Right, I get you. So, and I understand what you're saying. So a UTV pushing snow, because of the length of this island that I'm talking about in particular, is not an option. It's even a struggle with a snowblower, with a heavy duty snowblower that we're talking about, because the parking lot is done with a big payloader. So can you imagine?
How big is this? How wide is this snowblower you're talking about?
47 inches wide.
It's a big area. Big area.
And how big is the snowblower you have now?
47 inches. I'm comparing apples to apples.
It's the exact same size?
Exact same size. It's just a newer version. Like I said, the 1997 is obsolete. So they still sell a 47-inch snowblower. It's within a couple horsepower of what the one that we have now is. And it's the only difference would be it's 4-wheel drive. The one for $15,278. I mean, it's a 2026, 25, 26 instead of a 1997. So, yeah, so a snowblower and the width is a huge thing. Like I said, Kevin has a tractor and snowblowers, and there's other schools that have stuff, but they're not going to fit down that island because of the setup we have. If it was a wide open area, I could get the shop truck on there and push the snow. But that's just not how you can do it. It's got curbing all around it. And with the current machine, you can only access that island from one end, because it only has one entrance. The curbing goes around the rest of it. So you have to drive all the way around to come back, because you cannot get up over it with a 2-wheel drive. Even pains on it. So.
I would just like to say that I think he's made a compelling argument, and that this item would be paid for with fund balance and not increase the bottom line of the budget, just so that we're.
Thank you, Denise.
No, Jeremiah, I appreciate you coming on here and explaining, because I don't know if I'm the only one, but I was under the impression that it was a literal hand-me-down from someone's house of a push snow blower, and now we're getting this big replacement tractor. So this was very helpful for me anyway.
Yeah, so back in the day, this machine that we have now, the 445, that was a nice, really rugged tractor. And that's back when John Deere made stuff too. So, a really nice machine. It's obvious. It's lasted 30 years. Kevin's crew used it for many years, and then it got passed down to us. We did some rebuilding and
Me down.
replaced it, and we've been able to, and in some winters, we use this thing a tremendous amount. So, you know, it don't owe us a cent in my opinion. And I'm just as sick about costs as you guys are. I mean, I know I live in the same world, and it's awful what things have come to as far as cost. But you know, and like I said, that's why I'm willing to work, and nothing's etched in stone. And I'm just telling you what we need and what we can use and what we're up against, and trust you guys to make the right choice.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thanks very much, Jeremiah.
You're very welcome.
And Leanne can talk about the vans.
And Leanne, could you talk a little bit about the vans that are now in the budget?
Yes. What would you like to know about them? Is there anything specific?
Should I open this up to the?
I'll ask, 'cause I think I'm the one who has the most questions about it.
Sure.
I'm being told that the purpose of the vans is going to help solve some of the transportation issues that we're having, and I haven't heard how that's possible with vans. So if you could explain to me what your plan is so that I can get sort of an understanding of how we think these will help.
Absolutely. So in the district, we do have staffing that do drive the vans for different purposes. They go through van training, they're drug tested, and they will transport students for many different reasons. The hope is that when we do not have enough drivers and we need to cancel a route because of that these people can step up to help get these students to school that would have hardships. So in addition to them being used for the current programs that we're using them for, they would also be able to be used for that student transportation if buses were canceled due to lack of drivers. So one of them is actually a replacement that we had put in the budget, and the other three were for the other vans that are coming up to, and Jeremiah may be able to speak further on the inspections of these vehicles because they are getting older. We do have them in the system we had one in to replace for that because of possibly not passing inspection, and then also being able to use them for the student transportation when routes are canceled with no driver.
Can I ask a clarification? So one of the vans, you know for sure has to be replaced, correct?
So Jeremiah, I'm going to have you step in on this one because he's the one that's doing all the inspections and had recommended because of the wear and tear that they are and the rust and all of that's going on with them.
So we were able to get stickers on all of the vans. We actually just finished up doing the herd vans actually today. And so they were able to take stickers, but this is for at least one, possibly two of them. This will be the last year with them just because of the rusting, the scaling. We can make them run forever. That's not the issue. It's the rust that, we come up against. It's the same thing with the buses. So, but we are okay as far as right now. And the other thing with these vans, some of them are 12, 13s, and we run into certain issues getting parts for them. I've had it with airbags. I've had it with trim pieces.
The seats.
I've actually had I had to found a guy on Facebook Marketplace that had some receipts in a barn somewhere down here. I think it was Farmington or Milton or something. So we sent a guy down there and we bought him cash. And so that's what we did. We needed seats, and you just can't get them. And these particular vans, they were 8-passenger vans, half tons, and they only made them, I think it was 2 years. And once you know it, we've got them. So, and there's four of them like that. So that's another issue. It wasn't like it was a mass produced unit or some of these 12-passenger vans that they've been making forever. So that's kind of hurt us inside of getting the parts and stuff. So just for some clarification on that. But most of your passenger vans that are 8, 10, 12 are at least 3/4 ton, at least with the Chevy. So, but we will be okay as far as this, because they're good for you. We just stickered them. They're good pretty much until, for a year. So hope that helps.
Thank you. So you, with the four, right, there's four proposed in the budget. Would that bring us up to 8? Because you have or 7, you have 3 stickered? 3, or all four pass? I'm
All
just
four
trying to.
passed, yes, all 4 have passed for this year, but come next March, they will not. So after March of the school year, we won't have those vehicles to be able to use, at least 2 of them, because they won't pass due to the rest.
Are the vans that you are currently using, are they picking up students that can't come? I'm just trying to understand if
One
they
of them
come
is.
next. So
Yes,
one
one-
is,
One is, yeah, we're using that one van to pick up students for both high school and for elementary. And it's also a program vehicle that's used for programs throughout the day.
so these vans have the potential to be helpful, it sounds like, until next March, but then you're gonna be in the same situation. If you're saying 3 vans aren't going to pass inspection, then those 3 vans are just now gonna become used for what you need them for, and then we don't have extra anymore. Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct. We will have those vans will not pass the inspection next March. So those programs that are using them right now will not be
Excuse me,
able to use.
Jeremiah, can you just mute yourself? We're getting feedback on our end. Thank you.
Yeah. So come March, the programs that are currently using those vans will not have vans to use.
Right.
So that will leave us with 4 months out of this coming fiscal year where we won't have access to vans.
To pick up
Correct.
students anyway, for what we're being told, that's the point of, they're supposed
Well,
to help
no,
solve a problem.
Not only for that, but also for the programs, because
Yeah.
there's programs that are using those vans. That's what those vans were originally for. And that's what we've been using to help pick up students at this time. But
So
those
if we don't
vans,
replace them.
Yeah. So they're actually intended for program use, not to help the
It's
transportation
to
problem.
do both, though, honestly, Melissa. It's like, yes, we have programming that utilizes the vans, but we also use those vans in emergency or, I mean, maybe it's not always like emergency that day, but just like, okay, we have a plan, we can use the vans to go pick up. We have a pretty significant population of students in need in terms of homeless. And so we send, it's helpful for us if we have the vans available so that we're not having to contract with private entities to do the pickups. So it's a piece of like helping to support the budget in that way as well. Vans are very flexible and they do allow a lot more flexibility in terms of like just being able to kind of turn on a moment and go pick up kids if necessary.
Are they also used for like field trips or special programs in the community?
So Multiple Pathways utilizes their vans regularly. Mary Hart Academy utilizes their vans, not as much as they used to, but so that van has become more available for delivery of students. So yeah, athletics can use them in the afternoons if we have small groups of students, transport, that kind of thing. So it does provide a lot of flexibility. Understandable that like you're looking at this and going, where can we
I know, it's
not do something? But my concerns are that we have 2 vans that will, if we do not replace them this year, we will be out in March, and then there will be programmatic issues as well as flexibility issues for transportation. So
What are the thoughts of going down to 2, cutting this from 4 to 2
all,
for this year?
all very reasonable things to think about. Like it provides a little less flexibilities in terms of, because we were trying to increase the ability for, the other part that's really important is vans do not require a CDL license. They do require all of the other pieces in terms of like training and proper, like, the drug testing and stuff. But the van, the ability to drive a van is a lot more flexible. So that's all. And again, these are hard conversations about like all of the tiny, like you think about the conversation you just had about a $25,000 tractor when we're looking at how's that going to impact. It's hard. These are hard.
Leanne, are there I mean, I'm sure you looked at our routes. Is it possible to use the vans to, reduce our travel times for students on some of those, more rural roads? Like, is that possible even to put in as a daily schedule using the vans? Cause
Yes.
if you were planning on doing that, then I'd lean more to the justification of the 4. You know, if I knew 2 were using them and we were reducing our ride times, et cetera. Otherwise I'm to the replacement of 2. So I'm really looking to you.
Yep.
Do you have plans with daily routes, for that? And how would you use them if you could?
Yeah, so that is absolutely an option that we would be able to do that, because if we don't get enough drivers that can get certified to be getting their CDLs to transport, we could certainly utilize those vans to take care of some of these very long routes that the kids are to the outskirts of these routes that are on for a very long time. And these vans would carry 11 students. The elementary would only be able to get 10 because you can't have them sitting in the front seat. And then you might have to have some specialized seating, but it's certainly an option that we would be able to use a regular operator license that would go through the training to be able to do some of that transport.
Any other questions for Leanne or Jeremiah about vans? Okay. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is, we have Kevin here still. We are handing out, this is going to be tab 9. This is the latest update on the capital improvement plan for next year, for fiscal year 27. I'm just trying to get one for Ally.
To share.
Trying to get extras.
Is that shareable, Denise? Will you maybe hit her up? Thank you. We're gonna share it with you, Ally.
Thank you.
Almost there.
I can't see. Hate it.
I've emailed it. Let me know when you get it.
I don't have it yet, but I am refreshing. Let's see. Okay, I have it. Oh, nope, I don't have it. Now I have it. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Quickly, Denise, maybe you could help me with this, but the old budget had a total of 445.
Mhm.
We deleted a bunch of things on the new one, added 10,000, it came to 464. What am I missing?
We're gonna go through it. We're gonna help you. We're gonna go through it.
So there is
So the problem that I've had with this budget cycle is that we haven't made official decisions about anything. And so what has happened with this list, as we've gone through the last month, Kevin has gotten a quote. So what you'll see is for that line item that's highlighted, the wash bay repairs in the garage, that's a $10,000 project. So we added that. We had 2 theater lighting projects. If you're going up from that, we had 2 theater, one for 46,475, and the other was 23,539. And what we did is we removed one of those projects and pushed that to fiscal 28 and left the one. So you'll see it, I struck it out and put a 0, but that one has gone to fiscal 28. If you go up the list a little bit more to the Hanson School, you'll see 2 lines. Although we didn't decide to take out the modulars, my sense was that we were going to. So I took out that line, made it 0. I also, in the budget, I took out the 20,000 annual cost as well. And then we also had to add in the kitchen roof replacement for Hanson. Kevin decided that it was not something that could wait another 18 months. So he put that in. So with those 4 changes, the new total now comes to 464, Nancy, because we took things out.
I didn't see
things in.
replaced
Again,
back.
these are the projects that Kevin feels strongly that we are going to do this coming year. He's here to answer questions if you need it. And I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, have a good night.
Oh, no, you don't.
Denise, just real quick, so with the change to 464, is that same amount going to come out of designated reserve funds?
Yes, I think that should come out of fund balance. So again, 445 was the original, 445, 825, I think. And so what would come out now would be this 464, but we also added some equipment to the fund balance. So we can talk through what that looks like as well.
And how, maybe just the tab, how much is coming out of our annual budget for facilities? So like those comparison, right? Because this is off of the proposed, the talked about 5-year kind of Harriman Associates, all that stuff, right? That's kind of where this came from.
So the Harriman, what we did is this, in order to create the requested 5-year plan, there can also be a general 10-year plan, but a 5-year plan is what we have come up with in our group, the facilities group. And we use the Harriman to kind of guide us a little bit. Kevin has always had a plan. We have in prior budgets had something where we had CIP lists and general maintenance lists, if you remember. And going to this plan where it's not split up like that, it's really the projects that he projects for the next 5 years. And what we did is we took the things that he thought were important to have next year. And we also tried to keep an eye on the value of what that is. We can't afford to just add $2 million to our budget for facilities. We're just not in that place. We need to build it up over some budget cycles. So the Harriman study guided some of this. Kevin had some of these projects already on a list. And so between the two, that's how we came up with it. I don't know if that answers your question.
It's just, so tab
9.
9, yes, the facilities, right? And so, and this would be different. So we have approximately 732,000 coming out of, in our budget being designated towards maintenance facilities. And then we're using about 464 out of designated reserve. Does that sound about right?
Say that first part of your statement again.
I'm looking at tab 9.
For maintenance, yeah.
Yes, 732. Okay, 732,000.
Let me pull that up for a second. Hold on.
Increase. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the increase. I'm sorry. That's the increase. So,
Right, so 732 is the increase.
right, so 7.3 million.
Yes.
Right, so 7.3 million to come out of a budget and an additional 464 out of designated reserve.
An additional, yes, so the expenses are here. So if you look, let's see, you don't have line numbers with what you're looking at, but we have, up in the purchased and contracted services section.
Yep.
We have expenses of 427,825. And down in supply, those are of the projects he picked, those were the ones that needed an outside contractor. Down in supplies, we have a line for $18,000, which are the projects where he can buy materials and he and his staff can do that. So between those, that's 445. So what happens is, yes, we have 445,000 in the 7.3 million. And the revenue is offsetting it. The fund balance is covering the cost. So you have the expenses on one side because we have to be authorized to spend it. And then we have the revenue coming in, which means it's not going to the taxpayer balance. It's coming out of money we've previously collected.
Okay, so the 7.3 million is inclusive of the 460.
45 at this,
Just call it
but
450 just for the
Correct.
argument of just saying roundabout numbers.
Correct.
It's inclusive. We just know that that amount of money is coming out for that.
And-
Is it our intention to continue using fund balance money to do the projects on that 5-year list? Like,
so that's not the intent, but it is best practice to use that money for one-time purchases.
agreed.
But I think we just, given the amount that the state pushed back on us this year, we weren't able to grow it like we're trying to grow technology, where we budget for what we want to spend so we can stop doing the leases. So I think our step forward this year is that we're keeping all 450,000 in the budget. In fashion. Again, we're using revenue we've already collected, but we're not whittling down projects like we had historically. The other thing we're doing, we also are investing. If you look in the dues, fees, and bond repayment section of section 8, yes, of the maintenance.
Yep.
You'll see that we are spending a lot of money on our facilities in addition to these annual projects. So we are really trying to invest in the future of all of these buildings. We have 262,000 is the first year of repayment for the 2024 SRRF project that was completed a couple of years ago. So
Just for a full, like, just because we have a large number of the public here, it's like 1.1, almost 1.2 million in bonds. Right? I mean,
let's,
okay, I'll take a little bit, it's like 1.15.
yeah,
Somewhere in there. So when we say we have no debts, we do.
we just certainly
We
do.
do certainly, we have debts.
Absolutely.
That is where they are. Yeah, no, I agree that my just concern is I know that 5-year plan that we've discussed as a board, like the fund balance is not going to carry that 5-year plan
No.
out. So at
No.
some point, it's gotta,
And so
something has to come to a reckoning here.
what my thinking was, our goal was to spend $500,000 this year. And so I think what we're doing is, maybe that was aggressive, but again, the projects are here, but we do have this 262,000 new payment for facilities. So I think we're using some fund balance that we have available. I think we are doing all the projects we think are necessary right now. And we are also getting into a cycle with this SRRF repayment that is significant, and it is for facilities. So that we are not 100% district budget financed for all the facilities yet. We're taking those steps, right? It's going to take probably a little longer than I expected. And that's the best I can say, I guess. We're taking steps forward. It doesn't seem perhaps like we are, but again, in previous years, we would have cut the facilities projects,
I don't want to do that.
and we don't want it. We're trying to get out of that cycle.
I'm grateful for the work of the staff at Lebanon to figure out how they could reorient and reallocate their building to eliminate those modules. So
That was-
thank you to all staff involved with that. I'm sure that was quite the effort.
It was.
I know we explained this back when we first talked about the 5-year plan, but what are the Zen dens again? We have 3 of them.
Gonna ask the same thing.
I'm going to let somebody here answer that.
It's $9,000
Have
on budget.
We'll speak to it. Who out there wants to talk about Zen dens back there? Anybody? Oh, we put poor Tina on it.
No. I'm sorry, did you ask a
Yeah, what are the Zen dens?
Usually there's space where sometimes a student needs a private time to just regroup and get settled. So they might spend a few minutes there to calm down, or sometimes they like a quieter space for a few minutes to get back on track, to get some work done. It's utilized when it supports a student, when they need just that, a break, away from other eyes, or just a few minutes on their own to regroup. So like we have 2 Zen dens at the Hussey School. They're not used all day long. They're not used they're used as needed. They're just small little rooms, but they're just used as they couldn't it's not taking space from a classroom or anything like that. They couldn't be used for that. It's a small, like a reset space, like a quieter reset space where some students need to be reset outside of a classroom, not within the classrooms.
You currently have 2, you said.
Yes.
You want 2 more.
No, I don't need 2 more.
Oh, doesn't that
It
say?
says-
It's in the budget.
We need to ours aren't, the Hussey schools aren't set up they're not up to code like safety wise. Like usually there's padding, softer wall space because, on the walls or something for them. We still have ours used as different old office space with carpeting or other thing on the wall. So it's not safe for a kid who may need a safe space, who's in a safe body space. And so Kevin and I have been talking about trying to make it comparable to the other Zen dens in the district where they are the softer walls. It is more appropriate for them if they're having a physically unsafe moment and they just need to regroup and reset.
So we have 3 Zen dens on the budget at $3,000 apiece. Are we adding,
Sounds like they're upgrading. They're,
Not,
Can I interject?
Yes.
Yes, we are upgrading, as Tina said. They are just currently in like a hallway closet, or what used to be an old printer room that when we started talking about this a few years back and requesting Zen dens, we weren't quite sure what they were. So what we did, we just kind of took in thought and kind of took a hallway closet and carpeted it. And we're kind of using that. They are not even close to ideal of what we've been building in the past. With the padded walls. When I say padded walls, I mean the padding that you see at the end of gymnasiums on the basketball hoops. The whole room is with that padding and on the floor. And they're typically 8x8. And that's how we've been building. And basically it's just remodeling them at the Hussey School. And the one for Northbrook Primary is going to be a new rebuild. I mean, a new build, sorry. And that $3,000, and that's us doing them in-house. And that usually covers all the material for each.
and so one more question, well, probably a bunch more, but in the budget, it says we're having.
You gotta speak into the mic, Nancy. I can hear you.
I know, but I have to look too at the same time. We have a custodian we're adding to the facilities. And it says the increase is 150,000. It's got to be something.
I'm sorry, can you tell me what you're looking?
Page 2 of 4 in the facilities, line.
think that's been taken out.
That's what I'm trying to find out.
It's been taken out.
So that's a reduction?
Again, what position are you talking?
It's a custodial. It says we have custodians. And
We had proposed one additional custodian at Noble Intermediate School due to the size and the low staffing. And we have figured out a way to remove that from the latest budget. That was removed on that big sheet with all the lines from last time. And we're down, so we have removed that.
So
In
that
theory.
that custodian is removed, the one that was, but I still don't understand why it was $150,000 for a single custodian. That was my question, is why was it so much?
So it's not 150,000 for one custodian. You have in there salary increases for the other custodians that are in the district.
Thank you. That's what I was wondering, because I was just looking at it going, I want to be a custodian,
We do have spots, Nancy.
but not a. $150,000.
This is going to seem like a fussy question, Kevin, but your rebuild for the Zenden at North Berwick costs the same amount as an upgrade. So I'm curious why a brand new one costs the same as upgrading existing ones.
Well, because we're gonna have wall repair, because we have to rip all the carpeting off the wall down there and maybe move one wall back. So that's kind of where I just threw in that number. That's been the average number we've been using for Zendens. So even though it's not a new rebuild, there's some other factors as far as ripping and tearing and repair after we rip and tear. I mean, they're pretty simple to build. They're 4 walls.
Yeah. No,
Because
I appreciate the simplicity. My question is more around the utilization. If it's a place for a child to calm down, why does it need to be so padded?
Because this ties directly into chapter 93 restraint seclusion.
Yeah.
There's a piece of the regulation that very specifically outlines, you really want me to have a microphone? Okay. There's a piece of this regulation that says the space has to be 60 square feet. It has to be guaranteed that not guaranteed. It has to be free of hazardous materials and objects which could cause bodily injury. So that's where the padding comes in. And there's pieces in there about it has to have appropriate ventilation, lighting, all of those things to be compliant. So I think what we're looking at in Huzzy is needing to do a little bit of revamping. And then at North Berwick, it's building out the space that will meet those statutory requirements.
So the padded walls, that's to meet that requirement, right? Is that the only way to meet that requirement? So are we out of compliance with what we've been doing?
We don't have one currently at North Berwick, correct? And I think we have.
Are we required by state law to have in each building?
No, if we are going to engage in any type of seclusion, and that's, so the Zendens serve a double purpose.
Right.
Sometimes we get to that.
Good question, right? So
Yeah.
how many times have we had to seclude students in the past 3 years?
I can pull it up.
I'm just curious, off the top of your head, is it hundreds of times? Is it 50 times? Is it like, how many times a year do you think? And again, I'm not going to hold you to the number, but it just, for the sake of understanding our operations, I'm curious.
For pure seclusion, it's less than a dozen. It's probably less than,
A year or so?
8,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. And
I
that's
think-
across the district, am I correct?
yes, I think what we are doing is using them slightly differently when we use them in that Zenden model is a teacher stays in there to co-regulate. And so it's not technically a seclusion, but we're still using it in that sort of guidelines of behavioral regulation and trying to maintain safety.
Now, my assumption is this is so that we don't restrain students. Am I correct? Because like you can't restrain students. I mean, it's kind of changing, but I know it's but instead of, because you can't really hold on to a kid until they calm down. So we're trying to create a space where they can de-escalate in a safe spot. Is that fair to say?
For some students, we can't put hands on them at all. There's part of trauma-informed care, it's sort of medically fragile and those kind of things. So we use the spaces to help de-escalate.
But you have to move the student there. So in some cases,
We have
real
common
common sense. You can't take a kid from a classroom and be like, hey, come here when they're escalated. Like, it doesn't work like that.
Right.
Right? So we understand that that's just natural. So we're trying to create a space. So do we need to do both rooms at Huzzy the same way? I mean, do we have that kind of need where we have multiple students needing the same kind of space? Or is it one can be more of a cool down through Zen spot where the other one is more, for that emergency situation? I'm just kind
There are
of.
times that both spaces are used for long periods of time when we are working with students. Because that school houses 3 functional life skills programs, a behavior program, and is doing all the other things that any elementary school does. Just the concentration of population in that building, we're using both Zen spaces on a pretty regular basis.
So are the Zen Day and spaces in the rooms of those programs or close by? Like they're close by. Okay. So it's meant to be used by the entire school if necessary. And
Say that again.
yeah, one on
Up and down.
floor, second floor. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're not maneuvering stairs with kids is part of the goal.
Okay. So now I have a little more clarity because it was at first, hey, it's a place to calm down. It's more than that.
It serves multiple purposes. So yes, it's a place to calm down, but also when we're in that moment of, hey, we really have to de-escalate, or we're dealing with, unfortunately, some of our students engage in really high risk behavior. We move into the Zen Den because that's a place that we can control a little better. We can move staff in there, and then we're not exposing other kids to what may be happening.
Thank you.
Just as a time check, we're at 7:00, so we're an hour in. Probably should try to keep our conversations focused so that we can get down to some decision making.
Is it appropriate to ask about the status of the Mary Hurd building now that we have potentially someone here who might have the answer?
So we do own the Mary Hurd building. Sue was going to do some checking in on a question that we had about what happens if we are done using that
Yeah,
space.
I have not been able to do that yet, so. I'll
Okay,
check in, but yeah.
but we do own the building.
Yes.
And
We do.
so what's up in the air is what happens if we decide to stop using it?
Mhm.
Or do we know that if we stop using it, we don't have to give it back?
I do not.
That's
I'm
what-
not going to tell you that that's a fact, so I'm not going to cross that boundary yet.
The only reason I'm asking is there's a significant amount in the 5-year plan going into Mary Hurd.
Mhm.
Right.
So
Again, just to refresh, there is the concept that it's just like Lebanon Elementary. It will take years for us to process and go through the town and their citizens, and what do they want to do and what can we do? So it will be ours for quite some time, but it also, again, knowing that and replacing that boiler gives us extra parts for Lebanon Elementary, should we need that, should it break down tomorrow. I think that's Kevin's synthesis.
I appreciate what you said, Kate. Maybe we could kind of figure out where we're going, right? I mean, I'm curious as to where we are as board members. Who's comfortable with the 4.2? I'm just saying general 4.2.
Mhm.
Who's comfortable with the 4.2? And if the majority of the board members is comfortable with 4.2, then we don't have anything to discuss anymore, right? So do we want to straw poll that now before we have more discussion, or maybe we want to have more discussion on something else?
There's more paper. Can I just add in more discussion of an unpopular topic, but I just have to say it because I'm still not sold. I've had a lot of thoughts about NIS and the proposed, and I might get emotional. I feel like she needs me to read.
I can't.
The proposed changes and cuts associated with staff reductions. It was actually really helpful to receive the emails from the PE and health teacher because I had a whole list of questions that were actually answered in those emails. So particularly my questions are about the health curriculum. So like how long it was in place, that was a huge part of it. And I guess one of my questions was what the kids would be losing out on and why, but why is it that said curriculum is felt that it's no longer needed? especially with the statistics shared in the letter. I'm happy to read some of those. And then what are we seeing or not seeing that raised a concern that this curriculum should be removed for 5th and 6th grades. Right now, they're getting about 26 or so hours per semester, approximately 200 minutes every 2 weeks in health. And then I know we've discussed that the proposed schedule would result in a child potentially being pulled out 3 times per week if they had band and chorus. The discussion resulted in people sharing that the band and chorus pull-out practices are already in place for what happens in 4th grade and previously 5th grade when it was not at NIS. But what we did not discuss or touch upon was that 6th grade pullouts will have a much different impact than the prior ones. First, the grading scale is completely different in 6th grade. Up to through 5th grade, they have, I believe, a B, PM, M, and E, which is beginning of partially meets, exceeds, to an actual number scale is one big concern. And then in 4th and 5th, previous 5th, students were on an elementary model where their primary teacher, their homeroom teacher was their primary teacher. They saw one other teacher possibly if they switched for flex, which not all kids did. However, 6th grade students have 3 to 5 teachers, depending on how the chips fall with all of this, teachers, which could make their lost classroom time have a much higher impact to their overall learning, as it could be harder for them to catch up for teachers to identify struggles, as they will be their teacher for less time per day compared to the elementary model. As a parent, I have significant concerns about NIS next year with these changes. And if these reductions are absolutely necessary, then I 100% cannot get behind the reduction of a 6th grade teacher. I think at the bare minimum, it's important to keep the current student structure in place while these teachers get used to this new schedule, so we don't do our students a disservice. This 5th grade class has been the guinea pig class. They were the first group of kids that came back to school after COVID and had either their first experience to school was either being remote or having a hybrid model. This year, they're the guinea pigs at NIS for 5th grade. Now they're guinea pigs next year. This is a large portion of students that we need to really make at the forefront of our brains when making this, have at the forefront of our brains when we're making this decision. That's all.
Lauren, I totally echo what you're saying, and I think that's really smart how you figured out just the general instruction missed time that they're going to have from these reductions. So I've already said, I think that one of my absolute non-negotiables is the reduction of the 6th grade teacher. And I would hope that the health and gym could be restored as well if the board is in any way willing to entertain that.
So what are you proposing? Are you proposing to Audra and say, what if we're going to put those 3, I'm counting, if I'm counting 3, right? Staff members back in, what 3 staff members is she going to take out? Or is it they straight just add 3 and that's just that? I think, we asked the superintendent. Right.
Yeah,
we asked the superintendent to put forward, right, her and her team to recommend what they felt were the best options given what we asked them to do. And
well, respectfully, Josh, I did not ask for that.
the board, I'm speaking for the board, Ally, the board charged the superintendent with that, correct?
Yep, but if we're still talking about things that we would like to see
I
in
guess
this.
My point, I'm just speaking to the fact that we asked Audra to get to a point and her team said these were their recommended cuts.
Right, but they gave us a recommendation in the beginning that's based on an ideal system for our school, and that did not include these cuts.
Denise, could you speak to what the additional cost would be to reinstate those 3 positions?
I get 6th grade teacher. What are the other 2? Phys ed and
phys ed.
Give me a second. You guys can.
I guess my question is, if those were added back in, would this restore the current scheduling model at NIS?
It is a yes.
Okay. And yes, Josh, I 100%, we asked you guys for the recommendations. This is your jam. I get that.
Well, and I think it's important to note too that Mr. Archambault did tell us multiple times that he felt that with this proposal, they could run their school well. So were you changing the model at NIS for budget reasons?
Yes.
Or because that was always going to be what was going to happen? Or do you prefer to keep them on the model they've been on?
I'm going to have our principal come up and speak to that.
And I would add to that as a question, NIS is an intermediate school. While it's on the elementary school hours, it's not, and I don't believe was intended to be an elementary school. And that's why fifth grade parents last year, at the end of the year and the beginning of this year and throughout the year have been shown they have switched twice a day. This is preparing them for their next steps. It is the intermediate school. It is not an elementary school. So I just don't understand why the thought was we should switch it back to an elementary school schedule. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
It is for the budget. Like 100% it is. And we know.
Kids? Is it for the kids? Is it best for the kids?
It's for the budget.
Thank you.
So this would not be a good model for the students learning.
So I don't want to say it wouldn't be a good model because I think that we continue to make shifts and we do a really nice job. I think that year after year, we've done changes and our school has gotten better every single year. That's a fact. And so to say that it's not a good model, I don't think that's fair. But I do think the reason we're making this change right now is definitely budget related, not because it's something that we think is going to make our school better.
I am concerned about the shortage. Oh, sorry. The 2 globals a day really reduces your instructional time. And we've got globals. We have, you still have wellness, I assume, after lunch. So you've got the 20-minute recess time plus the 2 globals. That's cutting in on your instructional time pretty hard, just so you know. And we have a real significant problem with, I don't know, because we haven't got the data on the new math program, but up until this year, we had some significant issues with math. And we still have some problems with our reading. Don't know about science and social studies, but as a teacher, I'm telling you, that 45-minute class time is not very long for teaching. And I think it's even reduced a little bit more than that, but I don't have never figured out the actual numbers. Do you have them, Laura?
I do.
Exactly how much time is it? Remember, you've got to include travel time.
So, and that's the calculations I was doing about the times. I cut out about 7 to 8 minutes for my calculation for health, and the 200, or what did I say? The 26 hours per semester, that was cutting out 7 to 8 minutes for travel. I was going.
Each class. You've got to have travel.
I didn't calculate.
Right.
Yes, right.
Don't move, the kids do, so you have to have travel time for the kids to get settled in, get oriented, get moving. It's usually about 2 to 3 minutes unless you have some really solid stuff going on, just so you know.
So I think the other thing is it true, or how does it work with 6th grade? Are team teachers set up near each other so travel time is less, or are they going all over the school within their team?
Go all over the school within their team.
Okay. Is that something that could be adjusted for next year? So they're closer to their team?
Could be, but really all the classroom sizes are really different and it matters where you're teaching. So the science classes are taught on the 2nd floor where the science labs are. That makes sense. We could move them, but I don't know that you're going to save a lot of things because someone who has to go down to band or a chorus has to walk all the way down the hallway by the cafeteria. So you're traversing the school all the time, no matter what. And it's not as simple as let's just put everybody together so they don't have to walk around.
That's fair. No, and that's what I was saying is knowing how long it takes to get to band, I really minimize my actual time spent at a global with these. The flip side is, while classes would be longer with the other model, do you recall how many and or chorus one kid doing it would be missing 2, is right now band specific lessons, I believe, are 30 minutes. I assume a band course pullout would be their current 40-ish, 45 minutes.
Yes.
So we're looking at almost 2 hours a week for students who do both at maximum. Some kids do one and many do none, but a large portion of both of those grades are involved in that. So that's the flip side is, while they would have more class time without reverting back to the current schedule, more than a third of kids.
So right now,
Hours of class time.
The rising fifth grade, we have about 200 students who are participating in either band or chorus, and maybe both, but 200 combined. So, you know, it's basic math. We got 80% of the kids doing it.
So that's a large chunk of kids missing regular class time with the new schedule.
Right.
So we would reduce that. I mean, how is it working for teachers now? Like, I feel like kids are getting quite a bit of, they seem to be moving along at the expected rate. Or do you feel as though they have enough class time? I mean, because again, and I know I mentioned it before, like the flip side of less class time is like kids can't sit still. Kids can't sit still. And I don't know that longer class times are going to help.
I think that we work really hard to maximize time in seats. It's really important. Our schedule reflects that. Every single teacher would say if we had an extra 10 or 15 minutes, that would be great. And so I think that they also are going to feel just like elementary school fourth grade teachers and prior fifth grade teachers with pullouts. When you have 22 kids in your class and 18 kids leave because they're in band, like that time left in classroom with the 4 other kids is not really helpful time. So, and it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, those kids should get like an enrichment or an intervention. It's not the same. And I appreciate the questions. And I would say it is the budget, and that's why we're here, is for the budget.
Thank you.
I would also point out that we have very strong teachers and we will meet the needs of our students and our students will have growth with whichever way you all move. And yes, the impetus was the budget, but also we do not make outrageous decisions. It was a well thought out plan. So it wasn't just, oh, we have to, cut. So here we go. Let's pull this and this and this. Everything we do is thoughtful. So I would like to add that as well.
And I agree. And I would also add that this school has changed the 3 years that I've been there every single year. And so to measure data, we are getting better in certain areas. And we all know that we all have work to do. Not done, not thrilled with all the numbers. Like, obviously, we're working on it. We're getting there, and we do have highly skilled staff. It's an incredible team. I would say that. My money's on them.
I agree. And I really appreciate all the work you guys do. I know you're going to make it work no matter what. But it's our job on the board to make sure the kids have the best chance possible. And for me, that includes adding back those positions. So I wonder if we have a straw poll of if any board members have initial thoughts about adding those positions back in at this point.
I would like to have the financial information too first.
To add back those 3 positions, it's approximately 245,000.
Do what to the percent? Quarter of a percent.
I'm sorry,
What would the percentage be with the
Okay.
255 added, right?
That brings expenses to 4.69, school budget 832, and the overall to taxpayers 837.
3 teachers.
I think our taxpayers have been really clear about not wanting less teachers in the school. So I don't worry that this would be a cause for the budget to be voted down. I really don't.
I also just want to say, I'm not for less teachers and people actually working with the students. However, if we're going to be concerned about pullouts for 5th and 6th grade, we then need to be concerned about 4th grade because literally this has been going on for so long. And so if we truly are concerned about pullouts and it affecting students' learning, then we need to be considering our 4th graders who are currently getting pulled for band and chorus during instructional time. So it's a bigger conversation than just this is what's happening at NIS. Like, to make it fair across the board to all students, we need to then start thinking about, so either we feel like students are have been at a disservice all of these years, or we feel like our staff is strong and we can make this work if that's what we have to do, because that's what we've been doing.
And to that, I think that, yes, that would be something lovely that we can add. But I think for me, it was the realization all of a sudden that sixth grade isn't the same as fourth and fifth grade pullouts. It's actually a very different beast, because everything kind of changes at that sixth grade mark. And they don't have the one homeroom teacher all day. They don't have the, they're bouncing all over. They're having more classes in theory. And that's where and the grading and everything. And that's where it was like an aha moment. No, I wish none of them, which was built in everyone's schedule, but I know that's also not feasible.
Health teacher. The health teacher, is that just for sixth grade or does the fifth and sixth grade get health?
Six.
Fifth and sixth get health.
And they don't, so the fifth grade didn't get health before? This is something new?
Not before being at NIS, they would get it through the school nurse.
Correct.
To the school nurse.
So they could still get help through the school nurse.
That's how it was being done.
Yeah, so I was thinking sixth grade got a health teacher because it was part of the sixth, seventh grade programming. So technically the phys ed teacher or the nurse could actually do health if they needed to.
I would say no for that, specifically because the nurse is really busy. There's a lot of stuff going on and the PE teacher is going to be teaching PE classes. There'll be one PE. So it would be probably a counselor, maybe the principal. We would figure it out. We would have very short sort of conversations, like maybe a class period, something like that.
But the fifth grade doesn't get two globals, only the sixth grade gets two
Fifth
globals.
grade gets 2 globals.
They both get two globals.
Yes.
And the union, what's the problem with that?
I think the big unit that we cover in fifth grade is the puberty unit, and that would continue as intact, however
Yeah, however it was done.
Yes.
That's always been,
that would not
that was back when we were kids.
right, that would not be impacted.
My question to that would then be, what was the philosophy that existed for this year for fifth graders to have this whole curriculum for 26 hours of a semester that we're saying it's not needed now for fifth or sixth next year? Like, it wasn't just puberty. Health was way more. That email, I think, really outlined it very nicely. It's not. Or sell me as a parent, why did my kid just waste 26 hours of a semester in health? Like, that's what I'm hearing.
Not a waste. And
I know.
the reality of it is that we had the availability to be able to provide a more broad health program for fifth grade this year because we had staff. And sixth grade was already, like, that was the program that we typically follow. So it actually was a benefit to fifth grade to be able to broaden that. And this is where we're at as we look at the budget and make these hard decisions. As the person who's always been supporting and like advocating for our district health coordinator and all of the pieces, I've watched these pieces slowly taken apart as the budgets are more difficult. And so I'm not going to advocate that this is a great move. I think the reality is we're looking at things very much through a fiscal aspect, trying to provide to the district a reasonable budget. And this is partly one of the pieces of it. So I think we've been able to offer more this year for fifth grade than we've had in the past.
Nancy.
Our contracts or our contractual obligations raised the budget $1.6 million this year. Is that correct? Something like that. And then we're going to do it again next year. So before we even start, we're going to start at 1.6. However, that's just something to be cognizant of. We really have a large budget out there, but I was looking at some of the, I'm going to be the most popular person in the world right now too. The music teacher at Noble, North Berwick Elementary School, if I'm not mistaken, they have 12 units of classroom time, 12 regular ed teachers. So she's covering teachers 12 units. I used the word unit. So it's 12. So the other 12 units, she is doing helping out wherever? Is that, how does that work for the kids?
That is a split position between Knowlton School and North Berwick Elementary School.
This is just the music teacher. She's,
Want to make sure.
she's designated as a full-time music teacher there.
Full-time music teacher, part-time at Knowlton School, part-time at North Berwick.
That's not what our chart says, Audra. That's
Okay.
okay, because
That's correct then. That is incorrect. What is correct is she is a split position.
so we don't have two music teachers at Knowlton, then we have 1.5.
We have a band and chorus specific teacher at Knowlton, and then we have halftime at Knowlton. So our PE, art, general music are both halftime at North Berwick Elementary, halftime at Knowlton. And the librarian from North Berwick also spends some time, but it's not because they have different situation at Knowlton because they're STEM and librarian.
Okay, well, that's good. So then we have, at Lebanon, we have similar issue where we don't have a split. We have 15 units. So we have 10 more units where they're not. So we actually could reduce or change or relocate some of these teachers, divide them up, share them out, maybe reduce some of them in order to fill your health teacher and your phys ed teacher. Something to think about, because we have units of time where people are not working. They are spring team or helping out here or doing that or whatever. As I said, I'm not going to be very popular right now. I recognize I'm beginning to want to go under the table.
It's very similar to the conversation we were having
Yes.
years ago.
Yeah, it's the same thing again.
Yes.
But if we need to cut staffing and or relocate staffing to reduce the personnel budget in order to get some of this under control, then this is what we have to look at. It's not popular, it's not fun, but it is what needs to be done. We cannot keep. I do not agree with Ally. I don't think the public is going to be real happy with their taxes going up again. And then again next year, the same amount. I think it's getting a little harder and harder to deal with. Just saying.
Thanks. Okay, can you tell me the start of day, what time the day starts? The kids are in class,
8:50.
8:50? Okay, and termination of day is
3:25.
25, okay. Thank you. So they have 4 globals, right?
2 per day. 4 in the week.
So they have 4 class periods during the day? How many class periods do they have during the day?
7.
Okay, and 2 of them are globals
Correct.
every day.
Yes.
Okay, so that means they have 5 core classes per day?
Yes.
Okay,
6th grade we're talking about.
right, sure, either one. And they're 45 minutes apiece.
Yes.
So that's, and I didn't take out settling time, so that's just over 3 hours. Well, if I take out settling time, that's just over 3 hours of instruction a day.
You need to take out lunch and recess.
It's an hour.
Well, no, I'm just looking at instruction
Yeah, but,
for 4 times 45,
okay.
Oh, okay. You went that way.
right?
Okay, I get
So,
that.
so 5 times 45 would be 3.75 hours, but you've got settling time in each one of those, minus 10 minutes possibly. So that's 50 minutes that you've got 3 hours of instruction time all day. So the day starts at 9 o'clock. You're talking 6 hours. About 6.5 hours. And there's 3 hours of instruction time. That's what I'm seeing.
And I would say that globals are instructional time. I think that all of the globals matter. And I think that when you look at the globals, the things that they're teaching in globals, people use in real life every single day in their adult lives. So I disagree with you that that's not instructional time. It's not. It is, hopefully it's fun and engaging. Hopefully their core academic classes are also fun and engaging. That's the idea. But I would disagree that they are not being instructed during that time. I don't think that's factual.
But, okay. Core, reading, writing, math, science,
So studies.
and social studies. 3 hours.
How did you go from 3 hours and 45 minutes to 3 hours? 45 minutes for transitioning through
Okay,
the
so
whole day?
you're walking into class.
Mhm.
I can talk loud, but I'd rather not have to. You're walking into class and you're immediately sitting down and starting to work. That's not possible. None of us do that. Not college classes, not anywhere. And you're talking kids that are younger that are chit-chatting. You've got burn time in there.
The 10 minutes they have to do that weren't shared with that schedule. They need to be to class by 3:40. Class starts at 3:50. So they have that.
During their core class is 45 minutes. Period. You can break up the day any way you want to. They've got core classes for 45 minutes and you've got burn time in there for settling.
So I didn't think it was 45 minutes. So I just wanted to be clear on that part when this goes out to the public and is shared correctly or incorrectly. I want to make sure that we're saying 3 hours and 45 minutes with transition time. It's not 3 hours.
I also just want to make a note. I mean, even in college, you're doing 3 1.5 hour classes toward your major. Maybe you're doing 3 or 4 classes, maybe 5 at the most per semester. So you're looking at, I mean, you're expecting almost the same amount from elementary school and 6th grade students. And that should be an adequate amount of core learning if that's what they're expecting for you to get your college degree. I don't see why we should be expecting for more hours than that to 6th graders.
Huge difference for a 20-year-old and a 10-year-old.
I just want to
Right,
jump
actually,
in.
same amount.
Getting weeds. We got.
What are we doing?
I just want to take a moment, just to get some clarification. So we talked last week that with 9 sections of 6th grade, 6 of them would have 20 students. Potentially 3 would have 21 students. Correct.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And students next year, the way that your staffing is currently proposed for next year, the students in 5th and 6th grade will all receive PE.
Yes.
Correct. The puberty lesson that we have done every single year for years for 5th grade will still occur regardless of if there's a health teacher or not, correct? Okay. I think those were just some highlights that we wanted to clarify moving it that way, just from last week to this week. Okay, thank you.
Should we go with Ally's suggestion of just straw poll? She and I, the only two who want these 3 back in or not? Can we do that one? And then as a follow-up of if that's a no, then just the 6th grade teacher, please.
So Nancy, let's start with you. Would you be in favor of putting 3 positions back into the NIS school budget?
No,
No.
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 Yes.
No.
Ally?
Yes.
All right, if we were just to add 1 teacher back to the NIS budget,
Talking about the
So
6th
just be the
grade
6th grade
teacher.
teacher.
The 6th grade
the
teacher.
6th grade teacher, yes. Nancy?
Clarification question. What the 20 and 21 does not require the 6th grade teacher, correct?
Correct. That's with 9 sections, not 10.
No.
Yeah, with those numbers.
Also with whole new schedules for these teachers.
No. No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
So,
Did Ally?
Ally, did you?
Did I miss her?
Yes, I would like to keep the 6th grade teacher.
So the original question that you put on the table, Josh, was how many of the board members are comfortable with the 4.2? Nancy?
No.
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 Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
That was
A tie.
4-4.
It's a tie.
4-4.
Or 4-4.
tell us somewhere we should go with this, guys.
feel like we had requested some information last week about some other different positions and job descriptions and things like that. Can we see some of that stuff and have those as discussion topics, please? Thank you, Mike.
Sure. So one of the things that was asked last Thursday was for the administrative team to think over the weekend, just to see if there were more things that came forward as far as looking at their own budgets. So we met Monday. And I'll just let you know, we've been working on this for weeks since we had our, before that, but in earnest since our Saturday day when we started talking, and every meeting since that time, we've really worked hard at looking at every single item that we have in the budget, and prioritizing always the thought that we had about as minimal impact to the front-facing positions to the students. So we've really tried to minimize that as much as possible. What I will say is, those decisions, and we just talked about this, things have been made thoughtfully to have minimal impact to essential programming for our students and the functioning of our schools. And so Nancy asked a question last week about, could we possibly get $400,000 out of the budget? And at this juncture, based on multiple conversations and everybody just working, looking at their own budgets, looking at their cost centers, we feel that any additional cuts at this time would directly impact student learning and the functioning of the operations of the schools and the buildings and the classrooms. And I think you said job description. Did you have one?
I feel like there were some conversations about certain other positions that we wanted explored.
I will share
you-
the message I sent to the board if that's helpful, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you.
We said, I think it was Lauren that you said Thursday night, we just need a weekend, really think things through, consider all things. And that's what I did. I took the weekend, I really thought about things. And I sent the board an email, and I'm happy to read it now. I just said, while I am truly grateful for the inclusion of a reading program, I'm still concerned that our budget reflects too high of an increase. The board was asked to consider further reductions of approximately like 500,000 or so. And so I put these out there for consideration. And I listed it, and they're not listed in a certain order. I want to be clear about that. It's not a certain order. And I obviously know it'd be a sacrifice. I hear you, Audra. I hear you loud and clear. That it would be a sacrifice and it would impact what we do. But in no order in particular, I would suggest cutting the pre-K through third grade Excel staff position. I said it Thursday night. It's not a required position. I would go from 3 behavioral interventionist positions to, from 6 behavioral interventionist positions to 3. And I would recommend that the behavior interventionists become more like grade span leaders in helping staff create plans to work with kids. I would not recommend filling the retiring high school counselor position. 5 school counselors is my understanding. There's currently 6. If one retires, that'd be 5. And 2 ELO staff, which a year ago, ELO was described to me as being very similar to a counselor because they work with kids in transition planning and careers and scheduling and making all that happen. So with 5 counselors and 2 ELO, I feel we are more than adequate. I would not add the music teacher to the Noble Middle School or high school, that position. I would not add that position, or I would cut another position somewhere in the district if that position is so desired, so highly desired at this building. And then I did talk about the tractor, but I'm going to take that off based on this discussion we've had tonight. And the other last one was cut 1 school resource officer position. So I don't know which one or ones or none this board wants to talk about, but that was what I was asked to do, what we were all asked to do.
Nancy.
I would like to just question and then a thought. We have a new reading program. In the reading program, it combines reading and writing. Could we eliminate the writing teachers in the middle and the intermediate schools because it is going to be part of the whole reading piece and just extend the reading. That would allow us to extend the instructional time at the intermediate school. I don't even know if we have writing teachers anymore, but I thought we did. Because I think that one of the problems, in my opinion, is, and it's my opinion only, that when you split that reading and writing curriculum to two different teachers, you stop getting the continuity you want. So you may want to that might eliminate a couple of teachers in at the middle school as well. I know at the middle school, they talked about having a global of writing, but I think I heard that the reading program goes right up through grade 8. Just a thought, that would give you a number of,
So the idea of not teaching writing or teaching it separate from reading doesn't actually impact the number of staff that I need to teach that. So if I do combine reading and writing and make it ELA, I still would have either a social studies or a science teacher. And so that's what we're talking about here. So it doesn't change. It's not cutting it. It doesn't help we need every one of those teachers based on overall class sizes. Those teachers are going to have students in front of them that make up, that's why they're there. It's not like they take a walk, they're going to do reading, writing, and someone else is just waiting for the next class. They all have kids in front of them. If they're not teaching writing, they're going to be teaching social studies or science. They're all K-8 certified, so certification is not a problem. Whatever we decide, and we're not there as a staff yet, but whatever we decide to do, whether we combine reading and writing to ELA or we shift and we're not doing a specific science teacher or a specific social studies teacher, they're K-8 certified. They're certified to teach all those subjects. And we'll figure that out, but it will not save a position.
let's try to cut a position.
That's what I mean. It will not cut a position. Cannot cut a position.
What about at the high school?
Here comes Adrian.
I just concerned about splitting the reading to reading and writing.
Is doing that already.
Writing is so crucial. And
I usually teach it through the reading or those together and splitting them up. It just makes me, it's been a long time, but it makes me a little nervous.
Yes, good evening. So our plan for next year at grade 7 and 8 is to collapse and have ELA. So we wouldn't be separating reading and writing. Our plan, and again, for us, and I know we talk about, like the chorus position, it's really, we need a spot for kids to go. So like in our building, if you're going to have a 7th grade band, which I think by the time you hit 7th grade, it's appropriate to have a 7th grade band that is being able to practice together. We need to have all of our 7th graders in a global type setting all at the same time. So I've got 215 8th graders next year that all need to be going to a global at the same time so we can run band at that time. And again, we have to do that because if I don't run band all at the same time, I run out of blocks because we have grades 7 through 12 in our building. So to run multiple sections of band would not be feasible in our building. Because again, I think the tricky part for us and not to transition to like the school counselor piece, but I will, yeah, I mean, because that's on there as well, a thought as well is we are running, I just think it's important to know, we are running 2 different buildings within the walls of this building. So we have 6 school counselors. We have a total across, again, I'll say our 2 schools, we have 2 special education social workers and 1 regular education social worker for grades 7 through 12, so for 6th grades. And again, it's hard for sort of scope and scale to know exactly what that means. But I think one of the pieces, we are absolutely currently in line to schools that are around us with our school counselors. And that is without social workers, we are far and away lower than schools, so the Oxford Hills, the Bonnie Eagles, the Sanfords, the Massive B6, kind of using similar, off the coast type schools that north to south align with us, all have 5 or 6 social workers only in their high school. So we have 3 social workers across a middle and high school, which typically might be across 2 buildings. So I think the counselor piece would be really, really concerning. for us, because I think I look at it like we have 4 school counselors for a high school for an 850 student high school, and we have 2 school counselors for a 425, 430 student middle school. And I think if you look at just the high school piece, you'd be looking at our school counselor ratios would go, and again, it's hard because you're talking 3 counselors or 4, you're talking small numbers. So losing one impacts the average greatly. So you'd be going from like 212 per counselor to 283, which would put us great. I mean, I was unable to find anyone approaching that number, looking, and that's with the, Oxford Hills, full transparency, was the closest. Their average is 240, but for 962 students, they have 5 social workers. So if we had 5 social workers, we could talk about a counselor, no problem. We would have already cut it, sadly, just given where we're at. So I think that's the hard part of some of those dual function. Our school counselors, especially at the high school level, end up picking up a lot of those pieces. So just
AJ, just the formula that we get, the Ed 279, says that the recommended counselor load is 350 students. Does Denise, it's in there?
It's not recommended.
It's not recommended. It's used as a formula, as a typically, and it's, we also use it when we say about class numbers, and so if we're going to use numbers in one category, well, the numbers then apply in all categories. So on that number, I won't say it's recommended, but on that number would say that our high school, our 7 through 12 building is supposed to have 4 school counselors. Not that I'm pushing for 4 school counselors. I want to be clear about that. Definitely not. You mentioned that we have 3 social workers. We also have 2 ELO coordinators, which a lot of their work is similar to a school counselor, similar to a social worker. So, 5 school counselors and 5 other supports in that way. I know it's not easy. Anything I'm discussing is a sacrifice. And I appreciate all the emails from everybody else. I also know if we were talking about any position in the building and we got an email, anyone would be able to tell us how great and how necessary it is. Every position is super necessary and wanted and warranted. There's no low hanging fruit that we're just plucking off. It's just crazy. This is not easy, right? And so I feel so bad when this board or anyone gets just disparaged for being able to have conversations like this. We got to have conversations like this. Back to the council thing. I think 5 with 3 social workers, 2 ELO coordinators. I think it can work. I know it's not ideal. I think it can work. But maybe we need to have a little more dialogue, each one, straw poll each one of these things. Yes, no, because we do need to get to a point where we're moving along.
Yeah, we're at 7:50 right now, so.
Can I just add, so I think instead of just in general, in the tone of our meetings, instead of just conceding to what we have to do, we need to start building value. Like you said, Josh, every single one of these positions is important. So that needs to be the message of our board. Every single one of these positions is important. And I would like to talk about the SRO officer. However, this is something I've wanted to bring up actually since I started on the board. I would be interested in knowing for next week.
You can't. It's today.
Done. We're done.
It's tonight or never.
No, well, in general, just for ongoing for our school district, I want to know the specific training on child psychology, mental health intervention and de-escalation, and cultural competence our SROs get. Students of color and students with disabilities face higher risk of arrest when there's an SRO officer present, and we do have a high rate of children with disabilities in our high school, especially, across the board. So that's something I would love to look at, and reducing to a half-time position is something I would support as well.
So I'm not sure I understand. Ally, are you saying that these students are arrested in a school setting or outside of school?
Yeah, so studies do show that overall high security presence does increase the likelihood of referrals to authorities. So something that would generally be handled in a school setting is more likely to be escalated to a criminal offense in a school setting if there is an SRO present. And that's nothing against our SROs. They do an amazing job, but it's an inherent bias that if we have an SRO, we just need to make sure they're training on cultural bias and child psychology is aligned with our values.
So, AJ, could you speak to that? I mean, do we have that kind of an issue here?
Right. No, not within the school, not for school matters. I will say, I'll speak, Officer Kelker being in our building, his level of approachability, he fields phone calls from families about things that happen over the weekend, things that happen, so they're not school matters, but he is an approachable individual who's willing to talk with folks and willing to, sort of say, hey, this is who you need to call. I mean, so I think he does, hey, this happened in, Berwick, you need to call Berwick PD. Here's what you can expect when you call them. But we don't, as far as school matters, we have a very, very, very low rate of any sort of citations within the buildings.
And do we know if those disproportionately affect children with disabilities?
I don't offhand, no, but I mean, I would say the numbers are so low. My worry would just be that they might be sort of insignificant numbers wise, because if you're talking about, three instances and that affected a student who was a special education student would be an outsized number because we don't have a 33%. So it'd be a little tricky, I think, given how small the sample size is, if that makes sense.
And I understand what I'm saying is totally based on generalization. It's based on national data. So some of it may very well not be applicable to our district. And that's what I want to have a conversation about when we talk about the potential of reducing that staff member at a future date.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the conversation started about right now about the school counselor. Do you want the straw poll on the school counselor? Is that the comment was to go
Yes.
through that list?
Yeah, I think that's.
Okay.
So I guess the question is, do we still feel that we want to fill the retired position for school counselor at Noble High School? Nancy?
No.
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 Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Was 5 votes.
5 points, right?
So you can see your name.
Right.
Do we want to move on to the SRO officer?
Any other questions or?
I do have a job description for the SRO. And I would like to say that currently, our recommendation would not be to alter this position at this point in time, based on several things, which include, and similar to what we just heard about the impact at the high school, but I know the one that you've mentioned is the current Noble Intermediate position, and just the fact that this is, this position is a really community-based position in addition to working within the school setting. I can give you time to look at this first and then go through some of our pieces.
Can I ask the audience try and keep chatter to a minimum or go further back? It's really hard to hear this conversation, which is incredibly important, while also hearing background noise, please. Thank you.
Your student here?
Thank you for the job description. I guess my question is like, what does a day in the life look like for the school resource officer at
NIS?
Yeah. Like how much student facing time is there? Like I have no idea. And I think that's part of
Come
our.
on down, Mike. Sorry.
Mike, you're getting your steps in tonight.
You re-ask the question, please.
What does a day in the life look like for the current resource officer at NIS? Like how much student facing time is there outside of the DARE program? And just what does it look like for him?
I think with this type of job, like day to day is different, but I would say that he mentors a lot of students. He works directly with families of students. He, like some of the more significant, I would say bullying, but just those types of harassment conversations he's involved in. He does a lot of coaching students, and I think that's really important.
I was also going to add that you will hear, if you were to talk to some of our other administrators, he's a resource for any kind of things that we have, like family structure issues, custody issues, anything like that. He would be the go-to person for our administrators with regards to that, and also doing the system training for all of our safety protocols, our ALICE training, any threat assessments that come in. So he is consulting and in there for that. We had a program for ALICE that was $10,000. That is not in the budget for that, but what this our current resource officer does here is he works per each building on training in those buildings, which are very different. You know, training at Hanson School is much different than training at Knowlton School. Everything is different there, but just talking about a lot of parts about the crisis plan, helping keep the crisis plans going, best practices in school safety. So those are all some of those pieces. And also this position is one of the positions that we looked at when we were creating and working through our strategic plan of 2030, and just talking about safety is one of the pillars. So it's not just about the school building itself, but also how to provide opportunities for safety in the school setting and what layers we have of support for student and staff safety.
And you said it, there are 3 schools in Berwick. He works through the schools, connecting with families that are one way or another need connection from the school. He rides out with a counselor, a teacher, a staff member. There are a lot of social issues going on in our community. And if you don't see that, take a walk. And he is super active in those situations, and he's really, really helpful. It's actually really helpful for kids to have a familiar face in the school that are seeing police regularly, whether they're in their homes and things like that. He is really important and vital. He always has been, he continues to be. And, you know, I think that's why it's a conversation with the board, and it's your call to do this, but I would say that it would be a huge loss to lose a resource officer in the community of Berwick. In the whole district, but certainly in Berwick.
I thank you for adding that, because there has been ongoing consultation in Lebanon as well, as far as just to the point of some of those more complex family issues and things that come up, as well as training.
That was one of my questions, because I don't often see any of our resource officers in Lebanon.
Right.
And we definitely don't get DARE. So I do know they do a lot. My kids love the resource officers, and I have seen them have very good relationships with the students. And it sounds like they are very valuable to the staff too. And especially with you losing a behavior interventionist, I don't really want to take away more resources from NIS. But is there a way to think about getting at least one of them more into Lebanon and integrated with like DARE and things?
So the good news is that DARE happens here. I mean, at the intermediate school, and that's happening for all of our students, which we're very excited about. Like, that has been a goal that we've had. So that's very helpful.
And don't misunderstand, I'm asking that question, not offering more money, just
I understand.
part of his being in the district.
We have limitations because it's a Berwick contract, as is the North Berwick contract. But both of them, but mostly the one at Noble Intermediate School does support the Lebanon, mostly the administrators and the staff, and has done the Alice training for Lebanon for a period of time.
I'll just bring this up only because I know there is talk of working with the sheriff's department to have an officer in town. Figure that. It wouldn't be 24/7. Well, it wouldn't be through the school, but that doesn't mean that he wouldn't interact with them, or she.
Any other questions or yeah?
I was always a bit greedy about my instructional time. Does this mean we have another global for the fifth graders where they're getting another time out of their
It's not a global.
academic?
It's not global.
I know it's not global, but it's another cut to the academic time.
It comes out of health. It happens in health class.
There is no health class. So it comes out of academics, right? Or,
Out of academics, because health is academics.
well,
Well, it's
there's no longer global.
Correct.
So it,
There would, yes, he would go into,
out of academics.
yes, yep.
that's, I thought.
Where it's how it's been in fifth grade until fifth grade came up.
Yeah, they didn't have two globals before they came up, that's all.
I just, oh, never mind.
Is there anything that stops Berwick police officers from visiting our schools now? Do they not visit because we have a school resource officer? Would they increase their visits if we didn't have a school resource officer? Do we know the answer to that question?
I would say that if a school were in need in Berwick and they called the Berwick Police Department, they would respond. That has been my experience. I think what I would go back to saying is that relationship. I mean, our resource officer at the intermediate school is often called on by the Berwick Police because of that tight connection with the families and the students. And Berwick is our largest feeder school. You know, the highest population is Berwick and has been, so that the impact, you know, we have a lot of students from Berwick. We've got a lot of families. There's a lot of things going on. So they also use our resource officer as a resource when they're working with the families and starting that process.
Yeah, I would, look, I mean, the reason why this is super difficult is because our school resource officers do such a wonderful job. I mean, that needs to be said right out there. They are doing a fantastic job. My curiosity is there a way to figure out where we don't have the same person in our building every single day, but with the Berwick Police Force, somehow work out something where the police force is in our building on a regular basis, getting known faces, names. So it's not always the same person that even the Berwick Police Department is calling on in tenuous situations. Like, everybody's very familiar with our students in all cases. I'd love to move to that more model where we actually have a more collaborative, I don't want to say collaborative as a working relationship, but certainly exposure relationship with kids and police officers. Because if it's just one, I mean, we're missing something. And again, that comes from prior experience where state police, we used to have luncheons in our building so that kids, elementary kids, could know who the state troopers were in our area. And we did that regularly. I just think that there are ways to do it. But again, this is difficult because they do such a great job. And I recognize that.
School resource officers also have specialized training. So I think that's a different thing, is that it is a special school that they go to. And it's specific to Ally's point earlier, where they do treat kids with different gloves than they would treat potentially an adult. And it's really important. And I think that trauma-informed care and how we interact with kids is really critical. And the two that we have are incredible at that.
I'm happy to hear that, Mike, and I really appreciate, I have the police officers in our store all the time. They're great in Berwick. I am concerned about the idea of expanding DARE, and the time that DARE takes up for our SROs. It's pretty widely proven to be an ineffective program. And I haven't seen really hardly any evidence showing that it is effective. If you guys could share that, I would love to see that, but I think everyone should take some time before we think about increasing that program visibility in our district, with just researching the outcomes of DARE.
We aren't increasing it except to say, like, we're not adding more sections to it per se. There's a curriculum that goes with it. So we're not expanding the length of time that that's given. What we're saying is because our 3 towns are together for 5th grade, all 3 of those 5th grade classes or the towns will be getting that. So instead, last year, it was North Berwick and Berwick that were receiving DARE. Lebanon never had, because they don't have a resource there, and they were in Lebanon while Berwick and North Berwick were at Knowlton School.
Okay, and again, I just want to echo the same sentiment. Yet to see any evidence that DARE is an effective program that has,
Yeah, and Ally, I would say that DARE up until about 2012 was considered, like, once they did all the research, it was considered to be not as effective because it did a lot of focus on drugs and alcohol, and it has changed significantly. And it's called the Keeping It Real program now, and that is actually a different program and has been proven to be more successful. So at least from what I have seen and researched, because the SROs are, they're more than just, an officer in the school. They're actually part of the community. It's the whole piece about bringing those pieces together, the school and the community together, to make helpful, reasonable decisions for kids, and having those faces comfortable. That piece of it that's probably I do a lot of work with the JCCOs in the area, and
Can you just explain?
oh, I'm
what
sorry.
that is?
Those are the juvenile corrections officers who are doing work with our kiddos that are on probation or whatever. And so those particular folks do a lot of work with our current folks that are SROs for us, and with the police departments in general. I've sat down with the Berwick PD. I've sat down with the North Berwick PD to talk about the relationships for schools and for our kids and for our principals and our administrators, and how that has been beneficial. I think if we brought in our chiefs in both Berwick and North Berwick, they would suggest that it has been a big benefit for the towns. I can tell you that we've had lots of conversations about what happens in downtown Berwick, but also downtown North Berwick, and the fact that there's been they've worked really hard to reduce the number of adolescents that are sort of floating around in the 2 towns. And that's part of that is the relationship that Johnny and Milt have had with kids. And then our probation officer, I call him, is Stefan Young in this area, and he does a ton of work with those guys. So it's more than just the impact of school. It's more than DARE. I mean, we are fortunate that we can have DARE do that. In the older iteration, Chief Peasley used to do DARE for the North Berwick crew. So it's been nice that Milt can do it for all of our 3 towns now and provide a consistent message. I just think this is short-sighted for us to be thinking about. I understand where we're at financially, but I think that long-term, this is not the place to cut.
And I would agree with that.
Straw poll? Nancy, would you like to see the SRO eliminated?
I know, why do you always ask first?
No, I don't. I think our kids need to see the good guys in uniform.
Josh,
After that discussion, I'm in agreement. Keep the SRO.
Sari?
Yeah, I'd have to concur. As much as I don't want police in the schools,
And I don't want to.
I have to
That's
agree with some
incredible,
of the
Mama.
discussion.
I'm in agreement with keeping.
Yeah, no, I appreciate this conversation because I think we're looking at student facing positions and that was a question, is how much student facing
Time do they have? with
Thank you.
students? Yeah.
So, all right. So yes,
I would like to see them stay, yes.
yes.
Ally?
Good, Ally.
Yes, I'm fine for now.
Okay. Josh, what else was on your list?
Sorry. Behavioral interventionists.
I think if we could just take a few minutes to hear from the principals on that. That was one of the positions that we wanted some clarity in from last week to this week.
Right.
The differences between some of those positions. So if we could have our principals come forward. Thank you.
All right, I'm good.
Was there a specific question or just to the job?
Of course.
There we go.
I think the just natural question that I have is like, okay, what does a behavioral interventionist do? That is, and then where are the differences and the overlaps with what administrators do, school counselors do, social workers do, and school resource officers now do, right? So
So
you understand that,
it's a big difference. And
yeah.
they already cut the AP from my building.
And
Let's just put that.
Numbers wise, that was an obvious thing.
Could you turn on your mic? Thanks.
So I think that from my perspective, the administration is kind of cleanup crew, right? Something happens, something needs to be addressed, a consequence needs to happen, that kind of thing. But we're not
We're the triage.
solving any problems. We're putting Band-Aids on problems. When we think about how we actually make impact, we need someone to teach the lagging skills to a set of students throughout the day. So that is actually running interventions, teaching small group lessons, and supporting during the day and in the classrooms so that those classrooms can be well-run, calm learning spaces. So we're going in, we're pushing in support. We are doing those interventions, we're doing those lessons. And then sometimes there are those escalated situations that require a human to be with a student. And I would say sometimes those situations take hours. So that I don't think you could have sometimes you do get an administrator in those positions
I've been in
for
those for
hours.
hours,
Yeah.
yep.
Me too.
And sometimes you're in it with your behavior interventionist for hours.
And while I'm in those for hours, we have other students whose needs are not being met. We don't currently have a behavior interventionist teacher in our building. So it is definitely a need. If you think about it, just like our academic interventionists, the behavior interventionist serves the exact same function, teaching those skills, doing that small group instruction, meeting up. And I think that push in is also essential because you're able to then go into the classroom with the student and take those skills that you've done into a small group and help them translate it into the larger group setting to be able to access their academics more successfully and to enable the other students in the classroom to access their
So
academics.
can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
So school counselors and social workers don't do that?
Our social workers are doing IEP-driven instruction with students with an IEP.
I have a social worker shared one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So,
one day.
so school counselors don't do all what you just described?
School counselors are doing, I would say, different work. I don't know that I could make you an entire list of what my school counselor does. They're working with families. They are working with individual children. They're also running 504 meetings, 504 coordinators. They are busy
Yeah.
humans.
They're helping with that
with those students who maybe are having a bad moment and want to just talk to somebody too. So that's not necessarily needing that direct emotional regulation instruction, but they're having those moments.
Student conflicts,
Can I give an
anxiety.
statement, Hanson specific, but it's similar into the other schools as well. And this is with the idea of eliminating or closing our owl's nest. That's our room where we have big emotions happen in there in a safe space. It would fundamentally undermine our school's ability to maintain safe, productive, equitable learning. And it would create a cascading domino effect across my entire school system. Without this program, the teachers would be forced to pause instruction and manage dysregulation, resulting in significant loss of instructional time for entire classrooms and shifting their role from educators to crisis managers, ultimately diminishing academic outcomes for all students. The absence of a structured de-escalation space would increase the likelihood of minor issues escalating into major disruptions, while students with sensory or emotional needs would lose access to a safe, quiet environment necessary for regulation and engagement. Behavior interventionists not only respond to crises and regulation engagement, they also provide essential instruction for self-regulation, accountability, conflict resolution, building trusting relationships, and serve as critical support systems for our most vulnerable learners. This removal would halt our system for our most, for developmental progress, erode student stability. Additionally, teachers have made it clear that the loss of this support would significantly increase their stress, reduce effectiveness, and accelerate burnout and attrition, while eliminating a key source of behavioral coaching, MTSS, and guidance. The scale of this impact was underscored by the numbers from last year: 2,895 intervention calls last year alone, each representing a moment where a crisis was contained rather than allowed to disrupt an entire classroom. This issue is further magnified by Maine's ongoing behavioral health crisis, where over 13,000 students are on wait lists. Youth mental health needs affect 1 in every 4 students, and access to providers in rural communities like Lebanon is severely limited. For many families, the school is the only point of access for that support. In this context, the Owl's Nest functions as a critical infrastructure and a frontline preventative system, acting as the school's first responder to behavior needs and reducing the likelihood of more severe, costly, traumatic interventions. Removing these positions would force the school into a reactive crisis model, increase disruptions, weaken school safety, climate, and place unrealistic, unsustainable demands on our teachers, asking them to simultaneously be educators as well as mental health providers without the necessary resources to do either well. I do not support this.
So, a couple questions that I had. So we do PBIS at the elementary level. Is this a tier 1 intervention, a tier 2 intervention, or tier 3 intervention?
All 3. So if you want to break down tier
Okay,
1.
hold on. Yeah, just like we come, right? So I appreciate, I'm just trying to answer the questions. So it sounds, the way that it's read in the experience that I have, it sounds like it's a school counselor, but a school counselor does other things, whereas a behavior interventionist is severely focused, or almost exclusively focused on student behaviors. And obviously they do great things. I don't deny that. Like, it's like I get vilified when I ask a question. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you suggest that. Well, everyone's going to justify every position in the building. That is your role. I get it. I totally get it. Right. My question is, like, where we have seen such an explosion in behaviors, right? And we implement PBIS to reduce behaviors, do we not? Right. So if we are implementing PBIS, shouldn't these calls be drastically reduced because of PBIS? If not, I wonder, what about PBIS? So I get that a behavior interventionist might be a tier 3 intervention.
It's like reinforcement and we still have behaviors. If you think of in school is magnified.
If you think about
I've
it.
done this for 20 years, guys. I'm not oblivious.
State of Maine has-
Don't know
Goodness
the
gracious.
of that.
Day five, state of Maine has more strict laws on how discipline can be applied. The menus, like you can't send kids home for nothing, like you can't suspend kids. Like state of Maine mandates that kids need to have restorative processes to re-enter classrooms and things like that. Like the laws have changed. So 10 years ago, the law was not changed. The law is different now. Kids are different now. Like that's real. It's real in our communities. And
Can I just say the world is different now. We don't need to look very far to understand why things are different in the schools.
If you think about it, like our literacy instruction.
Can we allow a board member to speak? Thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. If you're talking about me, Josh, I said my piece.
No,
I don't-
It was Heather. It's hard to be, yeah.
I don't want to take Heather's.
No, it's okay. I just want to address something that was spoken about.
Behavioral interventionists in my world are certified, qualified people to do interventions for behavior. They're not, I mean, I don't think we need to go to the level of the licensed behavioral specialists that we have,
The BCBA's.
but they were more in line with a special ed type of training in behavioral intervention. I think the one we have in Lebanon is quite skilled as a special ed teacher working with behaviors. I don't know any of the others. That's the only one I've ever heard about. But behavioral interventions are primarily at the tier 3 level, where we have to do the functional behavior assessments. We have to determine what kind of behaviors we're supposed to be. If we're just going to hire somebody to manage behaviors, the acting out behaviors of a child, an unhappy child or worse, would we not make sense to hire some certified behavioral interventionists who can do this, and then train some of the ed techs to be the resources that you guys need, because you need somebody that can get in, get the kid, get out, and then put in place the plan that the certified person has come up with, that's done the functional behavior assessment, where you're getting the need met rather than guessing. I'm all about getting the needs met. So it might be a couple of certified teachers and a couple of less expensive, I hate to say that, but support staff, so that everybody's getting what they need, but not everybody's getting just somebody to fill a spot.
I would say, I know you've heard about the Lebanon Owl's Nest and the teacher there. I would tell you that all of the behavior interventionists at these schools are highly skilled and highly trained.
I just don't know. I didn't know we had them.
That's why I'm responding, right?
How many do we have? Do we have one at each school?
With the exception of North Berwick Elementary, which is in the budget.
Tech ed.
Right.
We're only
Ed tech.
looking at hiring one.
We're looking at changing that from an ed tech to a teaching position, because there are limitations with what an ed tech can do.
Right.
Yes.
Realize that.
Yes.
We have somebody that can do the functional behavior assessments and all of that stuff that goes along with these behavioral interventions.
Do.
We need to put.
Yes.
I read the PBIS stuff. That's what's coming.
Yes. Yep, and they're working on creating behavior plans. They're working on tier 2 and tier 3 interventions. They're analyzing data. They're going to IEP meetings if there's a referral. They're also working with students identified as having
Are
IEP.
they special ed teachers or are they regular ed teachers or both?
They're a combination, depending on which school you're in and depending on how that was funded and focused.
And I guess it doesn't really matter because regular ed teachers can test too. We have teachers.
Yes.
All right.
Except for North Berwick.
You were going to say something too.
Yes, I wanted to address the point about the PBIS. So we just, at least some of our schools, Michelle School's a little bit ahead, the North School's a little ahead of ours. We just finished our 3-year cohort with our teacher team, which is essentially our tier 1 PBIS strategy. So these are things that teachers are doing in the classroom. So if you think about it, when you implement a literacy or math curriculum, you do the things that you need to do within the classroom to help that be successful. There are students who need more. That is what our behavior interventionists will address, those students who need more than that. They need that intervention. They might need some extra time with another teacher to work on those skills. They might need some support within the classroom. That is what the behavior interventionist role would do. That is what is a step up from the initial PBIS training that all of our teachers have done. It's that next step.
So that they can access their education because their behaviors are infected.
And like Josh said, a lot of our kiddos that our behavior intervention does see and support are those tier 3 kiddos. So they might work with people to help put in support for those tier 2 needs, like the behavior, the check-in, certain things. They'll work with people to get that going. But the people they're pulling primarily for those big behaviors, those really students who have a lot of things to work through. It's more of those tier 3 students on their caseload, whether they're special ed or general ed, that they are really supporting those bigger behaviors, as well as setting up things for the tier 2s, helping teachers get some supports in place, not to help them utilize what they can do in the classroom, like you said, or setting up small groups, talking with the counselor, how they can help with the tier 2 stuff, and then really taking on that tier 3 level of support for some of those students.
We're talking about students without disabilities, by the way.
Yeah.
Like generally,
Right.
we're talking about kids that, so that's why it's not special ed. And I think there's a misconception that special ed solves a lot of problems. A lot of the kids these people are working with do not have a disability, are not eligible to receive special education services, and they still really need help. They don't have a disability, so they are not able to qualify. They still need help.
I really applaud all your guys' advocacy for your behavioral health interventionalists. I think the passion that you guys are showing for this position should make it really clear to the community that this is an absolutely essential role for all of our schools. So I really thank you all.
I agree. Thank you.
And I think especially if we're talking like we want to see test scores improve, taking this away is absolutely going to affect student learning. It just will.
So I will start with, this time I will go ahead and start with you, Ally. Would you like to,
What's the question?
that's the question, we're doing, and are we talking about elimination?
Just ask the question, and we'll answer it.
Okay. Are you in favor of eliminating or keeping a behavioral specialist?
I'm in favor of keeping and adding the North Berwick as presented in the budget.
Okay.
Same here.
Same. Yeah, I'm in favor of keeping.
Yep. That would be yes for me too.
I'm on the fence.
I'm a no. I heard, it just doesn't, I guess I don't need to explain. I'm a no.
Yeah. I think we can reduce the numbers, so I have to be a no.
That's a 7-2. So 7-6-2 half.
6-3-1, 6-2-1.
Okay. All right.
The only thing I had on my list, and it's getting late, was the pre-K Excel position, pre-K 3 Excel position.
Want to speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I said it last week. It's just not a position that's required by regulation. So I see it as more as a luxury. I don't mean luxury like students have luxury. I just recognize it's not a required position. There is testing that happens for all students to see whether they qualify, and they do go through a process in 3rd grade. So I just don't see how the priming is necessary. There's lots of variations in classrooms. I mean, any pre-K can, like any early education childhood classroom, excuse me,
Don't you love
is,
that?
yeah, it's, oh, why isn't my phone working? There, gosh. There's an extreme variation. That's always going to be the case. So for that reason, that is not required. We have a system of testing all set up, and you can always accelerate in any classroom for any student, for any reason. I just don't see it as a necessary position. That's I think how I see it. So thank you.
Thank you. Other thoughts on that rule?
Do we know the dollar, the dollar amount on it, just so we know what we're talking about?
55,000.
55, thank you.
I'm 1,000% on keeping the pre-K to 3 Excel. I'm not going to give you a sob story of my children. So no one needs to hear that, but it's used, the teacher's already there.
There's no way to identify at fourth grade if they've never even met the children in K3. I think it helps the other teachers to like, everyone deserves the education that they deserve, that they need. And then like an Excel student needs a special education, and that just helps the teacher help with that. It's nice and simple. I'm not gonna give you examples. I'm not gonna give you studies. I'm 1000% in for keeping the Excel.
Me
I
too.
would be a no, just because we have to, it's not a required position, so I'm a no.
I would be a yes, because yeah, same, identifying them. And having kids not getting bored in classrooms is huge, especially at those early ages, so we don't lose young learners.
Not only lose the learners, but, you know, develop behaviors that aren't desirable because kids are bored out of their gourd. Yeah, I would say that I would want to keep that position.
I'd be no.
I really don't think these kids are bored, whether they have Excel or not. And if they are, then somebody else needs to be addressing the problem. But again, if we could do all that we want to do, we would do it. But we have a money problem. And I think we need to cut where we can. And I think cutting out the Excel teachers is how they drop in the bucket. But we have to let somebody go. We have to let a lot go. I would remind you that 87% of this budget goes towards personnel, and it's going to be just as high next year. So it's a no.
I think Ally.
Ally?
So, yeah, in my research for Gifted and Talented, I've seen a lot about also inherent bias in the selection process, and having a K through 3 educator who's getting to know the students really well can help eliminate that bias for our later learners. So I am definitely against removing that position.
So yes, to keep it. Okay, so it's a 5-4 in favor of keeping it in.
So I,
That was it on your list?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Were there other items that other board members identified?
So from the sounds of it, nothing has changed from the last proposed budget, correct?
Yeah.
All right, and then
think
the
we're at
straw
the-
poll indicated that the majority of us would approve the last proposed budget, correct?
50-50, right? It's 4-4.
It was.
We didn't have
unfortunately,
Heather.
so-
So it's up to you, Peg. You signed up.
I'm in.
You're in for the budget as
For the
proposed.
4.2
Yeah.
to 4 is it 3 point?
And just so, again, these are estimates because nothing has been pulled through. But based on the proposed reductions we introduced last time, the multi-lined sheet of paper, the increase to school budget expenses is 4.2. The increase for school costs is 7.39. And the increase to taxpayers, including school nutrition and adult education costs, is 7.45. And what I will do over the next 24 hours is try to pull all of those changes through to get you accurate numbers on Thursday, but it's in this ballpark.
And Denise, if I can ask that we also just be reminded of, and somewhere it is included in the documentation, the decrease to our revenue by the state. So it needs to be recognized as a good bit of the work that you all did is overcoming that decrease.
And I'll just say on the revenue sheet that you have, you can see the fiscal 26 state subsidy and fiscal 27. And not that it's late. It's approximately 600,000.
Can I ask a clarifying question on the sheet or the updated percentages you gave us last week? I didn't even notice this. At the bottom on the left, there's the 3 numbers for the Berwick, Lebanon, North Berwick, and then there's percentages on the right. Never mind. Those percentages aligned with the previous dollar amounts?
Yeah, so what you have right there is just draft. The ones on the left, which are with these percentages, approximately 76.69 to Berwick, $70.12 to Lebanon, and $43.52 to North Berwick per 100,000.
Thank you. No, those percentages lined up exactly with what I'd written down for the per 100,000 on the original version. And so I was like, I'm confused. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any last thoughts before we adjourn?
Can I just say thank you again to all of the administrators who I can hear are passionately there tonight. I'm sorry I missed this. I would not have chosen to miss this meeting, but I do appreciate all the hard work that they've done, especially against the headwinds that they may be facing on social media.
Thank you. I'll second that. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Josh?
He did it. Very second.
And all those in favor? And the meeting is adjourned.